Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm glad you can make it, and I figured I'd go ahead and do this video as a test of the green screen setup that I've got right now, an audio workaround to allow me to wear a wireless microphone so that I'm not yelling at the camera, and as an update on how the episodes are coming. The one that I'm working on right now is going to be covering irreducible complexity. Admittedly, not a subject that I'm too terribly familiar with, but I've gotten that just about done. I'm working out a few little details and editing on that one, and it should be releasing within the next week. After that, we're going to be covering this. A list of peer-reviewed articles, most of which are from creationist institutions. There are a couple here of note that look like they might be legitimate, but I highly doubt that they back up the claim for a God at all. But we'll get to that. Now, I've gotten some questions about why I use the name Atom. It's partly to protect my anonymity and partly to protect my family from any potential backlash because, let's face it, not everyone in the world is a reasonable, rational human being, and there are some crazy people out there. So in an effort to protect my family, I use the name Atom. It's not that big a deal to me, but my name is rare enough that a quick Google search would probably turn me up, especially if you knew the area, or at least narrow me down to a pretty general location. And I don't want that. So that's why I'm using Atom. There is a little bit of background that I can talk about here without really revealing a whole hell of a lot. I am a Navy brat. Some of my earliest memories are from Japan. I wish that I could get the money and the time to go back there. It's a beautiful country. The people are just amazing. They're really polite. They're really nice. Their whole society is just something that I've always admired. And one of these days, hopefully I'll get back there. But those were some of my earliest memories. And as a result of living in Japan and not having a specific Southern Baptist church to go to, like my parents were, they didn't go to church. The closest that I got as an exposure to God at all was saying my prayers before bed, and that didn't last very long because I felt really weird talking to the open air, and eventually I just realized that I'm not talking to anything but the air. I realized this because my parents noticed my interest in the sciences early on and encouraged that critical thought and that curiosity. So I've always had a pretty good understanding, even at a young age, of how the world functions and how things work. And I carried that on into adulthood. Now, the first time that I actually went to church was at the age of 8. I remember that because the first story we did in Sunday school was Noah's Ark. And I had questions. Oh, did I have questions that were not addressed to my satisfaction at all by neither the Sunday school teacher or my parents. So I have established pretty quickly that the whole idea of the global flood was impossible early on. And as I got older and learned more about biology and physics, it just became even more impossible to the point where it's just completely absurd. And anything that happened, anything that I read in the Bible, anything that I heard from the Bible was absolutely ridiculous. I saw no reason to believe it at all because there's no evidence anywhere that any of that crap is actually real. Now, I'm of the opinion that religion has certain placebo benefits. There are people out there for whom it is a psychological boost, and I don't mind that. As far as I'm concerned, you can believe whatever nonsense you want to, but the moment that you try to convince me, you need to back it up. And if you can't, then I've got no reason to believe you. Where I draw the line and where I have the most issue is seeing religion getting pushed into education and legislation. Those two places are where religion does not belong ever at all, because it always causes trouble. We see this with creationists pushing intelligent design in place of evolution because they don't like the theory, and they don't understand it, and they don't want to understand it. That's their problem, but they don't have the authority to push that onto kids who are going there for an education, to be told factually accurate information. That's something that creationism doesn't provide at all. And when it comes to legislation, we've seen the results of that in some of the southern states around me. The anti-abortion laws that effectively outlaw a woman's bodily autonomy, that's not right. That's not right at all. And that kind of stuff should be shot down, and it should be fought at every turn. Now, back to a little bit of my history. I was baptized as a child because I was the last kid in my age group to not be baptized, and I started getting weird looks. And when you're in a society where being part of the norm is getting baptized, you kind of stand out. So to get people to stop giving me the stink eye and thinking, something's wrong with this kid, he's not getting baptized, I went ahead and told them what they wanted to hear and got it over with, just to get them to stop eyeballing me. And it worked. After that, I continued to go through the motions until eventually I was given the choice at around age 14 as to whether or not I wanted to go to church. And I elected to not go anymore because I had better things to do with my time. I did go to church in boot camp. When I graduated high school, I went to the Marine Corps. And in boot camp, I used church as an excuse to get some time to myself, get some time to decompress, get away from the squad bay, away from the drill instructors, just me and myself and my thoughts, and just chill. And that was why I went to church, and that's why I went to the Bible study after church. I never actively really participated. I was just there to clear my head. And then I would go back to the squad bay, and then next week, rinse and repeat. After I got out of boot camp, I never went back to church again. Now, after more than a decade of being an avionics electrician, chasing wires throughout Huey and Cobra helicopters, I got out and came back here and just started living the rest of my life. I got out for a couple of reasons. One, the promotions were getting really tight. And I got out around the time that the most recent drawdown was happening. And as a result, nobody was getting promoted. Nobody was moving. Everything stagnated from a pretty good level down. No one was going anywhere. And a lot of people like myself who were knowledgeable on the aircraft wound up getting forced out because we couldn't get promoted. We couldn't move into another MOS, another job. And there was just nowhere for us to go. Our contracts were up, so we had to get out. I've debated on going to another branch, but once I got out and once I was a civilian again, I got a taste of that freedom that I'd been missing, and I decided against that and just decided to go ahead and stay out. But I did do my time, I did serve, and I protected the rights of everyone to say whatever the hell they want pretty much within reason. Now, I'm here because, like I said, religion influences everything from education to politics in a very negative way. And I'm trying to add my voice to the many that are protesting it in whatever way that we're able to. For a lot of us, it's YouTube videos like this to get our voice out there and let people know that, hey, this is why we think this is screwed up, and this is why we think it should stop. Now, I can hear people in the future that may see this video say something along the lines of, oh, you're just being rebellious, it's a phase, that I hate God, or that I believe in God, I just want to sin. And I've heard that stuff before in some of my online interactions. Let me take a moment now to put that to bed. I do not, nor have I ever, believed in a God of any kind from any pantheon. The reason that is because there is no evidence supporting such a claim. I am aware of nothing that supports a God claim from any pantheon or any type of God. And any argument that I've ever had presented to me is fallacious thinking in one way or another and does not stand up to critical scrutiny. Now, I'm not saying I'm not open to the idea of a God existing. If there is a God that exists, I want to know so that I know the truth. But until that happens, I don't believe. And telling me things like this is just going to irritate me, and the conversation is not going to go very far at all. But anyway, that's all I've got for now. Let me know how you like this format. Let me know if the audio is coming in clean. Let me know if there's anywhere I can improve. And as always, stay curious.